Page 1 of the tab. Page 2. Howdy, 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 howdy. Today, let's do Red Wing. Why not? Not Red Wing Blackbird. Nothing to do with planes. This is written as, it's actually a popular song written back in 1907. Music by Carey Mills. And the lyrics were by a fellow named Thurland Chataway. And it was a story about it. It kind of, I remember part of the lyrics goes, there once was an Indian maid, so it was about a native Indian girl. And by golly, why not show this? This is my other iPad. There she is. I guess that was on the sheet music. You know, back then they had, before records, recordings, they had sheet music. And I believe this was a big seller and is based on a Robert Schumann piece, The Happy Farmer. I remember learning that on guitar when I was starting out. Mel Bay book number 1 or 2. Anyway, we're in G. Open, no capo. Start off. Okay, I've just shown the tab so you can follow along the tab. A lead in notes, pickup notes they sometimes call them. That's the first line. Go to C. Back to open G. Now D7. This is the 2-finger D7. The famous slide on the 3rd string. So instead of sliding up, we're going to pull off 3 to 2 on the 3rd. I mentioned this one in a couple other of my videos. Put both fingers down if you don't know how to do this one. Put both fingers down, index and middle on the 3rd string, 3rd or 2nd and 3rd fret. Press hard. Just flick that middle finger sideways and up. Takes a while to get it smooth and right, but then to an A, bar the A, I bar the first 3 strings. You gotta let it off, second last note of that measure, because it's going back to a D. A. There's a D, it's a 2-4 D, 2nd fret, 3rd string, 4th fret, 4th. You're running down the 4th string. Then it starts again. Wow, instead of this one, we're going up here. Nice little variation. I use ring and little finger on 3rd and 2nd strings of the 5th fret. And I use the middle finger here for 4th fret, 1st string. Back to the D7. Same slide, pull off. Now a quick A. So there's a quick A, D, G in that just the A and D in that measure, and then back to D, 1st string open, but the underlying chord is G. Now here's a cool thing. Hit the 5th string and then go. Da, 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 da. You're on the 5th fret. Pinky on 1st string, ring finger on 2nd. Forward roll. Get the pinky out, release the pinky, and 4th fret with the middle finger. Back to open 1st string. Here's that pull off again. Self-explanatory. Back to C again. Same thing as before. Again, it's same thing as. Here you're going. First measure of the last line. You go. You're on the open measure before that. You're on the open 1st, and then grab the 2nd fret, 3rd string with the thumb pick. Now this hammer, you've got that down with the index, right? You're gonna, for 5th string. It's sort of, there's in G, but we're in D, so. And then a tag, the ending tag lick. How long does it take to tune a banjo? Nobody knows. Nobody's ever done it. Anyway, there's Red Wing. Have fun with that one. Everybody knows it. It's Al Money said to him and Joe Carr were going around Texas playing these little places, and that was one of the tunes they recognized. You know, they weren't bluegrass fans. They just went and played places. And they knew Red Wing. Of all the tunes they were playing, that's the one they said most people recognize. So it's a good one. See you next time.